You are listening to the Conquering Everest podcast, episode number 3. So earlier this week, I was meeting with a mentor, really, I guess more of a coach of mine. And I was telling him that, I've been in a little bit of a funk lately because I don't feel as accomplished as I expected to feel at my age. I feel like I've left a lot on the table and that I haven't really lived my purpose. And this isn't the first time I've had this conversation going on in my head. And I'm sure we all go through that at different points in our life where we just feel like we should be further along than what we are. And he said a couple things to me that really hit me like a bag of bricks. And the first thing he said to me is, he goes, let's talk about your kids. He goes, have you raised them well? Have you given them opportunities that you did not have as a kid? Have you? Do you feel you've done better than your parents did? And thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, certainly. I've definitely, my kids are my priority in life, and I'm there for them whenever they need it. And I've made sure I've given them all the opportunities, that I could provide for them growing up. And, I definitely, my upbringing was not the easiest. So I've done everything I could to make sure that they didn't go through the same things that I went through as a kid. And so overall, I would say yes. I mean, I've certainly done my part as a parent. And he looked at me and he said, well, what if that was your purpose? What if that is the reason God put you here on earth? He put you on earth to raise your children in such a way that they can go out and they can make a big, huge impact and difference in this world. And it really brought me to tears when he said that, and I don't really know why it hit me and made me so emotional, but it did. I started thinking about that. What if that was my purpose? I was never, I wasn't put on this earth to be a billionaire. I'm not supposed to be Warren Buffett. I'm not supposed to be Bill Gates. I'm not supposed to be, whomever. Oprah Winfrey. He put me on this earth to raise kids, and these two kids are going to go out and they're going to do great things, potentially. And I don't know. I don't know how that sits with me, because on one side of it, I'm excited at the opportunity that, my kids might go out there and make a difference. My kids may, play professional sports one day, or, my oldest may become the next, business mogul. And that brings me joy and excitement. But then there's this little selfish side of my brain that goes, but what if that was it? What if that was my job? I've got, my oldest is now an adult off, going to college. My youngest, in a few years, he's going to be an adult. And I'm not, you're still a parent. You still have, things you have to do that you're going to do for your children. It's not like, one day you wake up and you're no longer a parent. You're a parent, as long as you're living. But that selfish part of my brain goes, but what have you done? You raise two kids, they're going to go out and they're going to change the world. But is there more that you can give, more you can contribute? And I think there is. I mean, I don't have any doubt that I have more contributions to make while I'm walking this earth. But that was one of the statements that he said to me that really hit me. But then the next one, as we got a little farther in the conversation, he told me about a TED Talk that he wanted me to go watch, and it was Tracy Edwards is who gave this TED Talk, and she gave you a little bit of history, because I'm just kind of starting to scratch the surface with her. I watched the talk, but so Tracy Edwards was expelled from school at the age of 15. and she didn't go back. She sounds like she may have been, on had a harder upbringing and may have been on one path, but she got expelled, and I think that was the best thing that could happen to her, because after she got expelled, instead of going back, she decided she wanted to travel the world. And she began chartering yachts in Greece at the age of 17. And while she was doing that, she learned how to sail. Now, in 1985, she joined a race crew around the world. Crew I think it was called the Whitbread Round the World Race. And so she was brought into this crew, but as a cook. Even though she knew how to sail, and she knew all the nuances of the boat, she was brought in as a cook. Then in 1989, she decided she wasn't getting the opportunities that she should be getting, and at this time it was because she was a female in a male-dominated industry or sport. So she said, hell with that, and she put together an all-female crew. It was the first all-female crew that would enter the Whitbread Around the World race. And she had a lot of success. They didn't win it, but they did finish. I think they were second overall. And then again, she repeated this in 1998 and entered another race with the first all-female crew. And I believe they actually won the trophy that time around. But so an interesting figure here, as you think about it, expelled from school for disciplinary reasons, traveled the world, learned how to sail boats, got into around the world racing, wasn't getting the opportunities that she felt she deserved, and so she just said, I'm doing this on my own. I'm gonna put together the first all-female crew. And she just she took charge of that situation, and lo and behold, she was captaining her own boat and having success with an all-female crew. And in this TED Talk, she says, there's a quote that I took from it, and that's, "Do not be a bystander in your life." And so that was the quote after, my mentor had mentioned the TED Talk, and he said, don't be a bystander in your own life. And that's kind of how we ended the meeting. And I like that it ended like that, because the last words I hear is, don't be a bystander in your life. And I'm guilty of that. I've definitely, there's times where I've backed out of situations out of fear, I mean, not so much anymore, because, my main goal in life at this point, however many more years I have left on this earth, is I want to kick fear's ass. If it scares me, I'm going to do it, because, pardon me, I've found that when I face my fears and I overcome my fears, so many different opportunities open up. And so that's my main goal right now, is if it scares me, I want to kick its ass. And so, I thought about that, being a bystander in your life, how could I take charge? How can we take charge of situations? How can we make a difference and find success, however you define that? I think everybody's definition of success is a little bit different. When I first really started thinking about success and what it meant to me, it was my ideals were centered around money. Now, over the years, I've learned that money does not buy happiness. Now, some people will argue that point, but success can't stop with money. It's got to. I think, to me, my definition of success is to live a life of comfort while providing help for others. Not making, I guess, in easiest, simplest terms, making an impact in this world, and doing so that, at the end of the night, when you're standing in front of the mirror to brush your teeth or whatever you're doing to get ready for bed, you are happy with the person staring back at you. That you've, hey, high five, right? You look a little silly, high five in the mirror, but, that's my goal. And I know there's other things and other factors that go into that. Depression, anxiety, is definitely something that can hurt self-esteem. People that, that have low self-esteem, it's going to be kind of hard to look in the mirror, but that's what hey, if you got bad, I used to have terrible self-esteem. I grew up with no self-esteem. I was bullied and called many a names growing up. And when you hear things like that enough, you begin to believe them. And so that was something that I've had to overcome and conquer over the years of my life. But so do not be a bystander in your own life. And I started thinking about how does that impact me now? And I think my biggest fear is that I'm getting older. And I've only got so much time left on this earth. What if I can't achieve that true definition of success? I don't know. I don't know what's going on in my mind. Maybe I think, my last breath, I take my last breath and it's a joyous moment in knowing that I've done everything I could do in my life to help others, to position myself for a good living. And I think, my age, I'm getting to that point in time where I'm starting to be afraid of the fact that I may not be around long enough to do all the things I want to do. Well, first of all, I don't know if any of us are going to live long enough to accomplish everything, right? As I think about this, every time you conquer a goal or a fear or whatever it is, so every time you find success in something, typically you're going to then look at what is the next step. There's always a next step. I don't think there's ever been a time in my life where I said, hey, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And then when I do X, Y, and Z, I just stop, right? And I just sit around and watch TV. No, there's always another X, Y, and Z. So I wrote this down as I was preparing my show notes for this podcast. I'm looking over them now. And I wrote down this: it's never too late to start living your life. One can only hope to learn this lesson when you're young. But even if you have a few years on you, you still have time. And, as I think about my kids, right, they're just getting started, in their life, in their adult, or, one of them starting his life as an adult. The other one will be here in a few years. And, I certainly hope that I've instilled that in them, right, to live life. I've told them over and over again, go after whatever it is you want and go after it with relentless pursuit. Don't settle, right? That's something that I think I've done a lot of times in my life over the years, is I've settled, right? I didn't go after what I wanted, but I settled for second best. And that hasn't brought me a whole lot of happiness as I think back and I go, man, why did I do this? So I've tried to instill in them, go after your dreams, chase your dreams, go after them and make them a reality. But I know there's going to be a lot of people that are probably in my same situation, right? You're middle age, you're feeling older, right? The body starts to break down a little bit. You start forgetting things, and you feel the effects of age, and you're like, okay, I'm getting older, and then that sadness creeps in, right? Because you feel like you haven't fulfilled your life's commitment or your life's purpose. It's not too late. I don't care if you're 20, if you're 40, if you're 90, if you're 90 years old. You still, as long as you have breath in your lungs, you have an opportunity to live your purpose. And then thinking about living that purpose, what is it? It not all of us are going to cure, cancer or, COVID-19, right? That's the kind of reality we're living now, right? There's somebody on this earth that was created with the purpose of curing an incurable disease. But some of us, we are just here on earth to raise good kids. Maybe we're here on earth to create a podcast, right? And offer advice and share our story. It's never too late to live your life, and your life does have purpose. So I think that's something that we all need to remember. I need to remember that. I know that. I need to remember it because there's plenty of times where I sit there and I go, man, I could do. Here's one of the things I think about. Some nights I sit out on the back deck and I'm looking up at the stars and the moon and all that good stuff, and I start thinking to myself, if I was a billionaire, think of all the good things I could do with my money, right? One of my big passions in life is homelessness, right? I want to curb homelessness. There's far too many families, men and women and children, that are without homes. And if I had Warren Buffett's bank account, man, I could build shelters and I could, build food pantries and this and that. Well, maybe that isn't my purpose. Maybe my purpose is, last couple months or earlier in the spring and summer, I was volunteering at a food shelter. I went out there and I served lunch, and I got to know some of these people, and I had conversations with these people. Even if only for 10, 15 minutes, they had a friend, right? They came back the next day, they'd have I'd still be, I'd be there waiting for them to talk to them. Maybe that's my purpose. Maybe that's one of my purposes in life, is just to provide 15 minutes of distraction, right? This individual's getting some food and they're getting ready to go and, hang out wherever it is they're going to hang out, sleep wherever it is they're going to find to sleep. But for 15 minutes, they felt like they had a friend, and they did. I mean, I truly feel everyone's a friend. Until they prove otherwise, but they, maybe that was my purpose. Somebody else is going to create the shelter, somebody else is going to create the food pantry, but I was there to provide a little happy distraction. Maybe one of my purposes on this earth is this podcast. I don't know how many people are going to listen to this thing. This, I may have one listener. I may have one listener. And, maybe that one listener is the one that needs to hear it. So anyways, that's, I'm going to repeat this again because I think this is something, if you're listening to this podcast, this is something I want you to really take to heart, and I want you to take back with you. And I want you to remember, it's never too late to start living your life. Even if you feel like you've wasted the last however many years, it is not too late to start living your life. So go out there, live your life. Don't worry about what your big purpose is, right? Just go out and do the best you can with whatever is on your heart right now. If it's volunteering somewhere, go volunteer and be the best volunteer you can. If you've got kids, be the best parent you could be. If you've got a spouse or, boyfriend, girlfriend, love them with all your heart. That could be your purpose. So every little thing that comes in front of you here in your life, do it as if that was your purpose, as if that was why God put you on this earth. That's what I'm going to try to do. And it's going to take practice, right? Because, like I said, I mean, I've come a long way, but I still have my insecurities, I still have my doubts, I still have my fears. But everything I do, I'm going to do it as if it was the one thing God put me on earth to do. So I would encourage you all to do the same thing. Go out there, live your life every day the best you can. Celebrate the victories. Don't worry about the defeats. Just keep making that progress, right? It's all about conquering Everest. One handful of rock at a time. But keep climbing. And one day you'll stand there on that peak and you'll see that beautiful view, and you've made it for that stretch, and now you're ready to go and tackle the bigger mountain that's yet to come. So that's going to do it for episode number 3. I do certainly appreciate you listening, and if you made it this far, thank you very much. If you want to get a hold of me, download the Podbean app for both Android and iOS. You can find the podcast and leave me comments on the show episodes themselves. This is hopefully getting. I know this podcast is available on Podbean. Is available on Apple or the Apple Store. Sorry, I'm an Android guy, so I don't know all the Apple lingo, but it's out there, and I'm going to be submitting it to some other sites as well. So, anyways, love to hear from you, and I hope you'll be back for episode number 4. Until then, go out and kick some ass.